Okay, we're at a stage where we can put the hydraulic pump in, but I'd like to talk to you about these hydraulic pump support pegs. So they come in through the housing here, poke in through there like that, and there's a hole in the pump and they support it there. The pump also is supported by a collar on the front drive shaft there, so that's your PDO drive shaft in the gearbox, and it's supported at the back here via this, well, you can't see it now, but by the needle bearing on the front of the PDO. Now the PDOs, they sort of support each other. The gear on the PDO is supported as well. So, but early in the piece they had these little fellas like that, and they were straight all the way along there, and they must have had trouble because I think I saw a bulletin where halfway through the 65 series they come up with these ones. So you can see the fat body here. So this hole here, it's the same size, it still fits into the hydraulic pump, but some housings have a fatter housing here. So on ours being an early one, we've just got to go with that. So what I'll do, I'll go and get the pump, we'll sit him down in there and try and line the pins up. So this is a brand new pump, the old one was just too worn to be used. So the pump can slide down there. There's your rear needle bearing, so she can come in. Have to slide him under the pinion shaft. There we go. So now my arm's in the way a little bit, but it sort of just has to be. So once the front shaft is, once this shaft, this collar here goes onto the front there, we can start supporting it with the well, with the pegs on the side. So I'll try and okay, you can see the pump sitting in here now. I've got the pins in the side here loosely. I've got to tell you a little story about putting this pump in. So you should be able to feed the pump in, hook it onto the front spline there, wriggle him forward, put these pins in. These pins are still loose, and away you go. But look, I've been over an hour buggering around with this thing, and what it turns out is this coupler. Now when you get the new hydraulic pump, this coupler comes with it, and it's the one up in here, right up in there. And I had that fitted on and I could not get it to start, or I could get it to start and I could only get it up a couple of millimetres. So I bought a big punch up the back here and, you know, give it a bit of a push forward, but I still couldn't get it. So I've actually turned around and pulled the whole pump out again, and you can see here, see those little shiny bits in there? That's where the spline got to. So the splines on this coupler here are undersized, like they just won't fit. So I ended up, after buggering around quite a bit, I pulled the split pin out, I pulled the pump out, pulled the split pin out, pulled the pump out all together, got the old coupler, put the old coupler up on the shaft, it slid up there beautifully, took it off, put this one on, not a chance. So trap for young players, they haven't got this quite right. Luckily, if you are replacing the pump, chances are you're replacing the drive coupling anyway. But in my instance, I lost a lot of time buggering around with just that there. So that's straight in the bin, it's no good. And the little needle bearing up the back of the shaft that supports your PDO, because I'd been up the centre of it, given it a bump, I've put a new one of them in, just to be sure. I don't want anything playing up like that. So I also, to try and get my hand in there further, I took the intake screen off. So that can just sit down in there and screw in now. Now, they do come undone from time to time, and this one did have a wire going across, so I probably will put a little bit of wire in this one. I don't imagine this will have to come out for a long time now and get cleaned up. Where are we? Can't find the hole. Shut your eyes, Lance. I think that's it. Can't see a bloody thing, and that's all right. So we can tighten this fella back down. Make sure he's all sitting there nice and true. No need to over tighten these, they're just a suction screen. Often I like to have it like that, and that lets me poke a wire in through there and just run it across onto the relief valve, how they were originally. So that won't come off. You're not collapsing the screen or anything like that. So that's okay. So yeah, a little quick job, popping the pump in, turned out to be a major. Now this is where your top cover pushes on your lever here to put pressure down through your pump control valve. When we get the top on, there's an adjustment on this nut down there. There's a little adjusting nylon lock nut there, and we have to visit that. So, but look, that's it. That's popping the pump in. Took a bit longer than required. So I've got all the pump sitting in there. The pins are inside and tight and all that sort of thing. So that's as far as we can go there. But what we need to do before we put the top on is put this drive shaft in. Now, this drive shaft has a pin, and roughly how it all goes is, if I can just get that starting up there for us. There we go. So that sits there. This fella sits up there. And there's a pin that stops this shaft from coming backwards. So to get it in, you just need the top off. Now sometimes you lose drive on these tractors, and you'd be putting along having a nice day, and all of a sudden you've got no drive. This little split pin here can shear off, and what happens then is this shaft can come forward and you've got no drive down there onto your pinion shaft. So yeah, that's the basics of it anyway. Yeah. So what we'll try and do is line this up there. Whoops, bring see if I can get all that to line up as it should. So we can see that that's not lining up there yet. There we go. So this can come right back there. This is that way forward as far as it can possibly go. Then we get a split pin and put the split pin in. Now I'll just put it in neutral so we can turn it. And I usually like to give it a bit of a smack just to hold it there. Then this one we just bring him out one each way. I need my my trusty MIG welding pliers. And we just spread that there to hold it like that, and that there will hold the drive shaft in place. So if you have a tractor, like I say, that's just driving along nicely, having a nice time. Some of these have holes in them, the later ones, but this is the early one. Having a nice time and the drive stops. Pop the side cover off and just have a look that this coupling is still there. So that's where it should be. Not much more we can show in there. So next up, we'll bring the lift cover down over here and we'll adjust the pump there and just show how that works. So I'll get the gasket, I'll pop a bit of grease on here and find all the bolts and clean all them up, and yeah, next time you see it, we should have the top coming down, and we'll just do this adjustment for here, and that's all we can do just for the moment.